Welcome back, everybody, to the Daily Racing Show here at Race Plaza Media. My name is Milan, and today we're going to take a look at a team that got it right and a team that got it wrong during the Singapore 2024 race. But today we're going to look at two drivers that were kind of fighting for the same position, but one team made the right call and the other team made the wrong call. The drivers I'm talking about are Yuki Tsunoda and Carlos Sainz. So if we're going to take a look at this, at Yuki specifically, we're going to start out with Yuki because Carlos is actually not that long. Yuki started out in P8. So he was starting alongside the front. So he's starting next to Alonso. In front of him, he has Nico Hülkenberg and Piastri. And then behind him, he has the two Ferrari drivers. We have Charles in 9th and Carlos in 10th place. So what I'm going to show you guys is we're first of all, we're going to take a look at Yuki's cam, because Yuki finished in 12th place at the end of the race, which was really, really unfortunate. And I wanted to find out what happened. So if we're going to, first of all, jump to the race start right here, we will be able to see what happened. First of all, Yuki's reaction time, unfortunately, was really, really bad. I'm gonna turn this down just a little bit. So we have the two Ferraris here. We have Colapinto actually drifting into the corner, making a great jump right there. And we have on the side right here, we have Alonso, we have Charles. Then behind him should be Sainz, and that we will also see peeking around the corner in just a second. And then there's Albon behind him and stuff like that. So he already loses a bunch of positions right here at the beginning of the race. However, as I just pointed out, the other driver behind him, and I'm sorry that this is such a terrible quality. I do want to point out that I don't have control over the driver cam. You just get it in the quality that it is. Unfortunately, I can't show it to you guys in HD. Going back to this. So behind him is Carlos in the Ferrari. There we can see him right here trying to get around him, not able, has to go off track, and he sticks behind him. I want to show you guys one other thing right here, because this is unrelated really to what we're going to talk about, but I think it's really, really cool. And this just shows right here we have Checo, and look how close they get. Look how close they get. That's insane. It's wonderful racing, though, I will say. And I'm sorry, once again, this looks like that, and I can't show you guys a little bit better. But this shows how much trust you have to have in the person next to you, because this is a street track. You don't get a runoff area. You make contact. Most likely it will be over for you. But beautiful racing by both of them. Now, going back to this right here. Yuki obviously losing a bunch of positions. So what I thought was really, really interesting, if we're going to now go ahead and take a look at this right here. This right here is all of the drivers and when they pitted and which tire they switched to. If we're going to take a look at the back top 10, right? If we're looking at like Hülkenberg, Checo, Colapinto, all of the drivers that he's essentially racing against, including Sainz, I guess, is that they all pitted around the same time. We had Alonso who pulled the trigger first, trying to probably prevent being undercutted. And then we have also Hülkenberg pitting, we have Checo, and then we have Colapinto. And then really, really late to the party is right here is Yuki. I don't understand why Yuki is so late to the party, but what I did find really, really interesting, he is being informed, hey, listen, Yuki, Nico is pitting. I think Nico pitted around 31st lap. I'm not quite sure. But then Yuki is put onto the soft tire. So Yuki asks, before he gets into the pits, he's asking, hey, how much longer do I have? Because I think he can probably feel that the tire's wearing off. A lot of the other people who are on the medium tire that he's technically racing against did already pit. Let's look at that right here.
How many laps more? Could be soon.
So I love this. He's asking how many more laps, and his race engineer is just like, coming in soon or something like that. Incredibly unhelpful. Which however, I think next lap, so lap 34, Yuki is being called into the pits. However, what I thought was really, really interesting, and this is going to all circle back to what I'm trying to point out, is that
Yuki, driving level 1/2. We bring this tire in.
So he's saying something about driving level, and then we're going to bring in the tire. And then one other thing. So Okay, I had to find this. So what I thought was really interesting, we can see now that Yuki is obviously on the soft tire, and then he's not even out for a long time. I think this might be lap 1 or 2 on the tire itself. And then this radio message comes through.
How many laps more?
He's asking how many more laps is he going to do on a soft tire, which to me indicates that RB Cash App, for whatever reason, might have thought this would be a 2-stop race. If we're going to go back to the tires, 2-stop race was never really on, especially if you're fighting for position. If we are going to fight for points, where was he ever going to find another stop in there? I mean, yes, there's a 35-second gap at the end towards Ocon, but at this point, it doesn't matter. Like, if you're coming 12th or 13th, yes, at the end of the season, if you have the same amount of points, whoever finished in the front, but this is not how you're going to get into the top 10. This is not how you're going to get into there. You're late on the call, and then you're just leaving this gentleman out for 28 laps on the soft tire, when we already know that Hamilton's soft tire fell off around lap 17. So, I mean, obviously, Yuki, you know, he managed as well as he could, but why? This doesn't make any sense to me. However, on the other hand, another driver who was in a similar position, who had a really interesting pit call, was Carlos. And if we're going to go back, Carlos was on the same strategy as everyone else, right? Carlos, right here, he started on a medium tire, but he pitted a lot earlier than everyone else, and he did the longest stint on those tires next to, so Hamilton did 45, and then he did the longest stint on the hard tire with 49. And when I saw that, I was like, what in the world is Ferrari doing? But actually, if you go back and look at the beginning of the race, which I did, it made perfect sense. It was the perfect strategy call for Carlos, because yes, Carlos started out in 9th or 10th place. I can't quite remember right now, but he lost a few positions. So if Yuki, he was behind Yuki, and Yuki already had a bad start. And so what ended up happening is that he was stuck in a DRS train behind Yuki and whoever else. I think it was Checo, that there was Colapinto, there was Hulkenberg, and then so he was stuck in this DRS train, and he wasn't able to overtake, he wasn't able to get enough pace in. So at the end of lap 15, they took him out, put him on the hards, and then he drove all the way till the end, and he finished in P7. That's incredible. That is an amazing strategy call, because at first I was like, why would they do that? Because look at Leclerc was in a very different, he was essentially on the opposite end of the strategy call. He took the hard tire almost the longest next to Piastri, and then he finished in 5th place. And keep in mind, they started in P9 and P10th. At first I was like, why would they do Carlos like that? But then when if you go back and watch the beginning of the race, he's not making any he's not making up any pace to Yuki. If we go to the beginning right here, and let's switch over to Carlitos, 55. He's not able to catch Yuki whatsoever during the race. He's consistently staying behind him, even though he does have DRS. It's unfortunately not enough, because Yuki has DRS, and then the person in front of him has DRS. So every once in a while, someone drops out of DRS, but it's not making a big difference. So if we go through the laps, he's not able to get out of that. And that the team that is so bad at strategy is finally making the right calls. We saw that in Monza, Charles being able to win by making the right strategy call, right? And in this case, they incredibly undercut everyone else, but they were able to get Carlos up into P7, and I think that's a win in a track that wasn't really, the Ferrari was doing fine, and I think if Leclerc had maybe a little bit more time, he would have been able to catch Russell, but Russell did have a great defense, and this is not the easiest track to make an overtake, even with DRS stick, especially if the speed difference and if your car is not overwhelmingly better than the other one. I think this is very interesting, and this also really highlights again how important strategy is, that this really factors in that this is a team sport and how big of a difference all of that makes. I thought it was really, really interesting to take a look at, and I hope you guys shared my fascination. I hope you guys thought this was an interesting video. Let me know in the comments what you guys' thoughts are about this whole situation. But once again, big props to Ferrari. I hope this also is indicative of their performance next year when Lewis will be racing for them. And I think this also underlines a big factor that Fred has been a great addition to the team. He's a great leader, and I hope we're going to be able to break that Ferrari curse soon, because they were able to break the curse at Le Mans, and now Ferrari is winning it back-to-back. Let's do that in F1 too. I think that would be awesome. Anyways, in the comments, let me guys know what you guys' thoughts were on the whole situation. Like and subscribe, and we will be seeing you guys here back at the Daily Racing Show. Bye-bye.